Well, here we go again. Been one of those weeks. One step ahead, 6 or 7 steps back. Thought it'd be a simple chore to stick a couple of flashers in and get the signal lights and the four-ways working, but wrong again. So out comes the dash. And I put LEDs into all 4 corners of this thing. And I only picked up one flasher the other day, which is this one right here. And when you switch over to LED, the wattage or the amp draw or milliamp draw, whatever you want to call it, is so low that a regular mechanical flasher will not sense that it's there. In other words, it doesn't have enough load to heat up the little bimetal inside the flasher enough to make it open and close. So normally what you do is you go to one of the electronic flashers, and the ones that I like normally have the pigtail on like this one does. So anyway, we'll get back into that in a second, but since I've got the speedo head out, I just wanted to show you, I did have a bright idea to add load. Is way back when, I think it was like last winter, I bought LEDs, and these are off Amazon. I think I paid like $18-20 for 10 of them. While I'm at it, switch everything over to LED. So when I knew I was too low on my load for the flasher, I thought, I wonder if I go to just a regular 194 bulb. Will that add enough load in my 2 signal lights so that the flasher will sense that and it'll trigger? Wrong again. So I ended up buying a different flasher, a 3-terminal flasher, which is basically supposed to be the same thing. And after a little bit of playing, got it to work. So I'll show you that in a second, but before we go any further, while we're still on this speedo head, this right here is the indicator for the high beams. And when I originally had this in there, there's supposed to be a little blue lens in here so that when the light for your high beams comes on, which again is just another one of these style, it gives you a little blue light in the dash. And I really didn't want to pull it all back out, and I didn't have the little blue lens anyway. So I thought that since I got to pull it all back out, I'll put the lens into it, which I'm sure for about $6 and $20 freight I could have got from somewhere. So I had to go to the grocery store anyway, so I thought there's got to be something there. So the 99-cent bottle of water works great. So anyway, we'll show you underneath the dash. So what I have up here is that little black box that you see in that clip is the flasher for the turn signals. And you'll see the black wire wrapped around it. It actually goes underneath that mounting bracket and gives it a ground. So what it's doing is it's just, it basically adds the load. It's a resistor in line and creates load on the flasher so it senses a higher wattage. So anyway, we now have signal lights that work. And those are on LED. And the other thing I found is, because the back of the car isn't complete yet, is you need all 4 corners to be grounded. I haven't got the gaskets for the taillights, so I don't have the taillights actually installed. And without those 2 sockets being grounded, the flasher would not react, and it was just like as if it was a bad flasher. One other little item, since I'm back over here in front of the speedo head, this little wire here, it goes up and it wraps around that screw, and then it goes up here, and there's one screw missing that I haven't put in. And what that little wire is for is it actually, with the screw that comes through the face into the dash, gives you your ground, which grounds this light and also grounds the entire speedo head. Now this isn't just a Camaro thing, this is a GM thing in general. I was even hit my head one time a long time ago and bought a Ford, and they're the same principle, and they all use these same little sockets, the little twist and turns. So just in case anybody's having dash troubles, look for that ground. It's going to be there in different forms, but look for that ground. I can't speak for the rest of you, but if it seems like 5 or 6 days later, that's because it is. And you can see them back here. I actually have 4-ways or hazards, whatever you want to call them. That's my redneck wiring solution back here to give me grounds. And we'll move up the front here. And if you can see the flasher up there, and you'll notice the little pigtail wire which runs off of it here, which I just popped a hole into the e-brake bracket and put a screw in so I could ground it. But anyway, what I eventually found out is the 2 terminals that feed this flasher, these flashers must have a diode of some sort, and with the way that this is the original fuse block, the way that the hot side was coming to the flasher, it would not allow current flow through the flasher. So I'll show you how I figured that out. So what I did is I made up 2 leads just to make life easier on me. And just happens I had orange wire in stock, so I threw some tape on so I'd know the difference between one and the other. And I also put this little pigtail on with a incandescent bulb in it. But what I did is where the flasher plugs into the fuse panel is I just plugged these 2 leads in, so basically I then was remote, so I didn't have to lay under the dash all the time. And then plugged my flasher into these and then grounded this side. And what I found out from it all was on the current flow is I was able to switch the wires, obviously, which I can't do in the fuse block, and everything worked fine. So that told me that somewhere there's a diode inside this flasher. And, you know, I figured the easy solution for that was take the cover off of it, just find the diode. Diode's easy to spot. Snip it out, solder a piece of wire across it, no more diode. Well, that's a capacitor, that's a relay, and that's a whole bunch of little tiny stuff. Nothing in there looks like a diode to me or what I've ever seen before. And whatever these little components are, the only thing that kept me from doing the surgery to fix it was my very limited knowledge of electronics and poor eyesight. So what I did is I pulled the fuse block back out of the firewall, unhooked the wiring from the front side, pulled the fuse block out, and I switched the 2 wires in the back side of the fuse block so that it'd be compatible with the new style flasher. I had no idea I'd spend 4, 5, 6 days playing with something simple as signal lights and 4-way flashers to make them work. But to get something productive done, instead of just beating my brains out and staying on that steady, did a few other little things, but the one major accomplishment was starting to get the glass in, which I now have operating glass in one door and the vent window in. It's complete, still needs some final adjustments because of course these are a frameless window. I'm waiting on parts for the quarter windows in both sides, and when I was doing the rubbers I noticed that when I was taking the vent windows apart, this little pin here was broken off the original, so I had to order another vent frame. So the windows are on hold for a while. I'm not sure what direction to go, and see I'm waiting on parts for almost everything, so we'll see what happens next week. Catch you next time.